What's up guys, it's Lord Botha here with another video, and we have more streamers acting dumb news. A lot of you may have even seen this already. This comes to us from PC Gamer's Asmongold suspended from Twitch following racist tirade about Palestinians. The ban was applied to Asmongold's secondary account, but it means he's not allowed to stream on his primary channel either. That's right, and it's important for you all to keep this in mind. I don't know if it's true for YouTube, but it's definitely true for Twitch. If you are banned on your secondary account on Twitch, and then you stream from your primary account, that's considered banned evasion, and you can get permanently banned from the platform because of that. So even though he didn't get banned on his primary account, he still cannot actually stream at all on Twitch. Twitch streamer Zach Hoyt, better known as Asmongold, had one of his accounts banned following a racist tirade against Palestinians during a recent livestream. During the stream, Asmongold said he doesn't care about the ongoing loss of life in Gaza at the hands of the Israeli military, which the United Nations says currently stands for more than 42,000 killed, most of whom were women and children because, quote, they're terrible people who come from an inferior culture. If you want to consider it genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now, Asmongold said during the stream, which was clipped and shared widely on social media. Which, by the way, Sharia law isn't actually really law in the way we think of it here in the West. Sharia law is actually meant to be religious law that governs things like how you deal with your interfamily relations, how you're supposed to treat and govern your children and the rest of your family, how you're supposed to deal with marriages, and etc., etc. It's about personal and family morality and interactions. It's not the actual kind of law that does things like govern a country. There's nothing in Sharia law that actually has anything to do with government structure or anything like that. So I don't really get where he's talking about genocide is built into Sharia law. Maybe he's talking about the ardent anti-gay stance to the point of violence by some of these countries, I guess including Palestine, that have fairly strong connection to Sharia law. But even then, he's mainly talking about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. And I wouldn't say that the Israelis are very open and free about homosexuality either, and I don't think there's anything about genocide against the Israelis in Sharia law. I don't know, I'm not that much of an expert in it, but I don't remember in any of the classes I had on Arabic history ever discussing the racism or xenophobia or general genocide beliefs against the Israelis in Sharia law. He goes on to say, so no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people, it's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They be doing the same thing. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that's horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for. And it's an inferior culture in all ways. It's that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. Now, when I initially read that statement, I thought, well, that's quite a statement there. He really went in on that. You don't typically hear Asmongold take such hard-hitting beliefs politically. He's more of a where the wind blows kind of guy, with occasional moments of baseness. But this was really a fuck those people kind of moment. And beyond the whole Sharia law thing, which I talked about, and I think he's just not as educated on, and even I'm not greatly educated on, I do think that he said a lot of things there that are clearly going to get him in trouble. Now, it doesn't really, in my mind, constitute racism. He didn't really say anything about one specific race. What he actually said could be defined more as xenophobic, hatred or fear of a different culture or a different ethnic identity. The way people act, behave, dress, what really makes them up as a people beyond just their actual physical appearance, skin color, their genetics, etc. So the headline is a little bit misleading, and to run with the idea that he's specifically racist isn't really correct. But clearly what he said here is enough to get him banned on Twitch. Because here are some of Twitch's community guidelines. Twitch does not permit behavior that is motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, including behavior that promotes or encourages discrimination. Users cannot create content that expresses inferiority based on protected characteristic, for example, statements related to physical, mental, or moral deficiencies. He basically said that their whole culture has a moral deficiency. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people who would say that his comments were motivated by hatred, prejudice, and intolerance. Users cannot encourage or support the political or economic dominance of any race, ethnicity, or religious group, including support for white supremacist, nationalist ideologies. This does not include support for self-determination movements. Some could argue that he was encouraging the dominance of Israeli or Western culture and therefore ethnicity over that of the Palestinian people. Users cannot make statements that a protected group should not exist, statements that a protected characteristic is repulsive. And while I fundamentally disagree with that actual terms of service statement, in that I don't think protected statuses for any group should exist, or that there are such things as protected characteristics, you could also make the argument that he also makes statements against this in his statement. Users cannot call for subjugation, segregation, or exclusion, including political, economic, and social exclusion, segregation based on a protected characteristic, including age. In that one, I would say he might be guilty of calling for subjugation by saying that they're an inferior culture. I mean, the whole statement, when you just take all of it in, it just sounded bad. Calling the people just plain terrible, saying they're not the same as us, literally othering them, saying that they kill people for their identity, whether or not you might believe that's kind of true because of their harsh stance. Typically, these Arabic countries, maybe even including Palestine, I don't know their stance on homosexuality, but these Arabic countries that have these kinds of laws typically have death penalty for homosexuality, which of course is a part of identity. But yeah, the whole statement sounds terrible and bad and clearly can fit in the category of violating most, if not all, of these outlines from the terms of service. He did put out a tweet in apology because, of course he did, because, money, it is, a big revenue stream for him, his Twitch streams and all that. In his tweet, he says, "Looking back on it, I was way too much of an asshole about the Palestine thing. My bad. Of course, no one deserves to have their life destroyed, even if they do things or have views I find regressive. You guys deserve more than me saying stupid shit like that. I'll do better." The article states that did little to calm the upset. Yeah, I'd imagine. It turns out that quite a few people don't consider "my bad" as a sufficient expression of contrition and reconsideration for espousing grossly racist attitudes about inferior and terrible culture. Again, not actually racist, xenophobic, because we're talking about culture. We're not talking about genetics or the actual physical characteristics of the people. But could those comments be considered xenophobic? Most certainly. Does Twitch allow xenophobic comments on their platform? From what I just read, no. Should he have gotten banned for saying that? Probably, yeah. Will he likely be reinstated? Probably down the line. He is a very big name, and I'm sure Twitch would like to benefit from having him on their platform again. Did he actually believe the things that he was saying? It's hard to tell, because Asmongold, like I said, kind of goes with the way the wind blows, with occasional moments of baseness. But something tells me with the ardent fervor and the way that he said this, that these are actual beliefs that he holds. And I think his apology here isn't an apology of, hey, my beliefs were horrible, I'm sorry, I'll do reflection on that. I think his apology here is, hey, my beliefs are my beliefs, but I probably shouldn't have stated them as loud and vehemently as I did, because I should have known that it would have pissed people off. Which is an apology for getting caught, shall we say. Even though he didn't really get caught here, he openly just admitted to things. his own feelings. It's not an apology to say that he was actually wrong for what he said. I think it's also important that I put a disclaimer here and say that none of the things that Asmongold said specifically reflect my views on the whole Israel-Palestine situation, which are, I would consider, far more nuanced than that. And discussing them on a channel that covers gaming, pop culture, and streamers is not something I really want to do. Maybe one day in the future if I had a political channel. But in this video, I'm just literally covering what he said and what he believes, and adding some context here and there where I can, both from my own personal knowledge and the facts that are kind of stacked against him. But those are just all my thoughts on this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. Try not to make it too spicy. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it. We'll talk to you again later.